Hi everybody! Happy Friday! It's Friday afternoon here in Tucson, Arizona, and I'm coming to you live. So today I'm going to talk about, what I'm going to do is I got a series going on this February. This is the first Friday in February, so there'll be 4 of them. And I'm going to talk about different things that I like to do just to kind of be superhuman, whatever you want to call that, like pump up my energy, pump up my body. And the first thing on the list that I like to talk about is water. Water is, of course, the source of life. Like, that's how all life happens. Everything we water, that we put in our bodies, needs water to grow. So it's really important, the source of water that you get. And actually it's interesting because today I'm just feeling like I've been going in the sauna. I've been kind of overdoing my infrared sauna. I've been going in for long amounts of time and going every day, and I'm just noticing some detox symptoms coming up. I went on like an 8-mile hike this morning, so I'm feeling a little tired, feeling a little low energy. So the first thing I like to do when I'm feeling that way, and I know the difference between detox and the difference between getting sick is when you have a detox, like sometimes your throat swells a little bit and you feel a little more tired, but how do you know it's a detox and how do you know when you're just sick? The difference is that a detox is something that you can reverse really quickly by eating something that's not that's bad for you, which just sounds funny. So like if I were to go out and eat like junk food, the detox would probably stop. And I've been with this on so many people when they've done a liver flush with me or they've done a cleanse, they're like, I think I'm sick. And I'm like, no, you're on a liver flush. And then sure enough, the day that flush ends and they eat regular food again, they're like, oh, I'm not sick. So I'm not saying if you feel detox symptoms to go out and eat junk food. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying what I do is I flood my system with liquids, so I use water. But there's lots of different kinds of water, and a question I get a lot from people is, how do I make sure I choose the right water? And there's so many choices. So if you're watching this, and you follow me at all, I doubt you're drinking tap water, just because most of the people that are into health and well-being know that the tap water in most places has fluoride, has chlorine, has something called chloramine, which is actually really hard to filter out of your water. But fluoride is tied to dementia, tied to the shrinkage of the pineal, tied to brain disability. And chlorine, as we know, is a toxin. We don't want to be drinking chlorine. So what do? Do you go and buy plastic water bottles and, get it by the case from Costco? And I do see a lot of people still doing that. When I go to the gym, I see people walking around with their little disposable water bottles. And the reason that's not good is there's a lot of reasons why not to drink the plastic water bottles. And one of them is the plastic water bottle that it comes in is usually one of those flimsy ones. And if you turn it over and look at the bottom, you might see a number down there, like a recycling number. And if it's a number 1, it's one of the worst ones. And that's usually what they use because it's the cheapest. And that is tied to breast cancer. It's tied to all of our, especially women, but all of us, our hormones going out of whack. It's called a xenoestrogen, which mimics estrogen in men and women. So anytime you're drinking out of a plastic water bottle, especially if you're leaving it in the car, or if that case of water before you bought it, it's all cold and refrigerated, has been sitting in a hot truck somewhere, I guarantee you they're not refrigerating that water. So anything, like any heat, is penetrating more of that plastic into your water. So plastic water bottles are not a good idea. What you want to do is you want to get yourself a good water bottle. This one is the Hydro Flask. You guys have probably seen these around. I like the smaller one like this because you can put it in your car, and I take it with me wherever I go. And what I like is it keeps your water cold or hot. So you can do hot or cold water. You can do other kind of beverages in there as well. But what kind of water do you put in it? That's the question. So I've talked about not doing plastic water bottles. I've talked about really not doing tap water. There's other waters that you could buy. Like we like to get our spring water delivered, and I think it's ideal to do spring water. And the reason for spring water is because it's bubbling up from the surface, and it's actually considered a living, like a healthy, live water. It's full of life force. It's tumbled over rocks. It's got a lot of energy and minerals in it, which is what we want. And that's what we're naturally intended to drink. When we were cave people, we were drinking spring water that was bubbling over the rocks, and it was full of life. Have you ever done that when you've drinking fresh water, if you know it's safe, and how alive it tastes, and it tastes actually sweet? That's what water's supposed to taste like. Most of our water that we're drinking right now is super dead. So how do you mimic that? Because if you don't have a spring close to you, which some do, some don't, there's a website called findmyspring.com, which you can go on and see if there's a local spring. We like to go to Sedona sometimes and fill up there, but it's not always sure if that water's clean, depending on if there's a lot of runoff from upstream. So those are the kind of things you want to think about. But the next best thing, if you're not getting spring water from the actual spring, is to get spring water delivered. You can also buy spring water in glass bottles now in natural food stores, and it comes usually in a glass tall bottle, and it'll say natural spring water bottled at the source. There's a few of them. There's one that's called like Deep Rock, and another one called, I can't remember some of the names of them, but just go in there and look for bottles in glass that say spring water. And that's going to be your best bet, although I know like if you're trying to drink water at home and use it in all your food and everything like that, it's a little more difficult. So what we have here is a ceramic dispenser. It's one of the dispensers that you put the big glass water bottle in, and we dispense our water out of that. And I just discovered a fun new thing yesterday for charging your water. So once you get your water into the dispenser, or you have water that you're drinking, it could be spring water that you get delivered. It could also be reverse osmosis, and that could be like a filter. We have one here on the sink that I like to use for cooking and for recipes, not for drinking as much. But that's good because it actually, reverse osmosis, the way it works is it kind of like double filters it, and there's a lot of filtering that it goes through. The only problem with it is it's usually very dead. So if you're using reverse osmosis water, you want to charge it. And there's a few ways to charge your water, and I was going to show you this one. This is a fun new little toy I just got at we're here in Tucson, it's the Gem Show, which happens every year. But this is like a little wand, and you can get different wands filled with different stones. These stones are designed, basically, the stones are the stones, but there's crystals in there. There's an orange stone, which is supposed to give you a lot of energy. So this one's good for like working out and increasing your metabolism. There's other stones like amethyst crystals that are more for relaxation. So you can kind of do your research on which stones do what and put those into your water. And I even actually threw a bunch into the water dispenser today because it strengthens the adrenals. So you can use stones actually to strengthen your adrenals, to actually help heal your body, to recharge your water. If you can't find a beautiful crystal or one of these beautiful stones, you can even just use like a desert stone. If you're in Sedona and you've got like a stone that you find out on the rocks, you can put that in your water, and that's actually got minerals in it. It's going to recharge your water. So there's a lot of ways to charge your water. Another way you can charge your water, bring it back to life. The reason we want to charge the water is because it's dead, so you're not going to absorb it. It's not going to be as bioavailable. If you ever drank a lot of water and you still feel thirsty, well, the reason for that is because the water's dead. It's come through some kind of filtration system and it's not energized. So one way, like I said, is to recharge it is with stones. Another way is to put like a pinch of Celtic or Himalayan salt. This is like a gray salt. It's called Celtic. And just like a small pinch in your water. And you shouldn't taste salty at all, but that's going to help remineralize your body, and it's going to charge the water up. Another way you can do it is to buy some kind of oxygen for your water or some kind of mineral charger. This one's called Oxygen Supreme. There's one called Cell Food, and Cell Food it's got 82 trace minerals in it. It's got some alkalizing to it. So you can put that in your water, and it kind of brings the water to life. And I know when I take it, the Cell Food, it gives me a lot of energy. I feel energized by it. It's a great one to work out with. Only about 7 drops in a whole big thing like this of water. And so that's another great way just to energize your water. There's just so many good ways to energize your water. Another thing is taking filtered water and putting a lemon in it, or like a teaspoon of lemon juice, or even just a section of a lemon and cut it off and put it in, or orange peel, lemon, lime, any of the citruses, even grapefruit if you like the taste of it. You don't have to squeeze it in there, just put the section in your water and let it kind of charge your water up. Let it give your water the structure from the fruit. You can also use cucumber slices. You can tear up mint leaves. You can put like dill leaves or basil leaves or berries or anything like that. You can really put whatever you want into the water that's a living food, and it's going to restructure. So the main thing is having your water be restructured, or be structured in a way that your body, when you drink it, it goes, this is real. Because filtered water is not real. It does not exist in nature. So because we have to filter our water, because we don't have access to springs as much, we just need to be constantly thinking about, is this water going to hydrate me? So that's the question you want to ask. Before I eat a meal, I ask myself, is this going to nourish me? Before I drink water, I ask myself, is this water prepared to hydrate me? So when I put it in my water bottle, has it been charged? Is there something in that? Now this water that I just filled up from my water dispenser, there's stones already in the crock that it's coming out of, so I know that's charging the water. I can also just open it up and add just a tiny pinch of this Himalayan salt in there and make sure it's just getting some of that. I don't really want in here to put the lemon because it's going to kind of interact with the metal a little bit. So that would be more, save that for a glass bottle if you're doing glass at home, which is how I usually drink my water at home. This is for kind of out and about. And other kinds of waters that kind of occur, maybe you have a well. If you have a well, the difference between well water and spring water is that well water you actually have to tap into it. So it's not as like vibrant because you're actually going down to the source versus the source coming to you. So doesn't that make sense? When the water's ready, it starts to kind of bubble up into a spring, and it's kind of nature's way of saying, here you go, here's water, it's ready for you. It's kind of like a ripe fruit. So when you tap down into well water, I lived in a house that had well water for a long time. Nothing wrong with it, but you definitely need to get it tested to make sure there's not like heavy metals in there, or there's not runoff if there's a cattle, runoff above you, or some kind of toxins in the area that could be getting into your earth, into your well water. There's just so much more to look out for today. So I'm just kind of here today educating you about types of water to drink and what's good. Back just to kind of reiterate what I'm saying, don't drink water out of plastic bottles, especially like from Costco where you get it in the cases, even though it's really convenient. Better to buy big glass bottles of water and refill at home, or get spring water delivered to your house. And they can deliver it in glass. You can find companies that do that. And then natural spring waters are the best water to get. And there's other ones you can buy called mineral water. You might see that at the store. It doesn't mean it has bubbles in it when it's called mineral water, but make sure it doesn't have gas if you're buying the water, just because you don't want to drinking water that has carbonation in it. But the mineral water is actually your best bet because it usually has minerals inside of it. It's already been mineralized naturally. People ask me a lot also about alkalized water, like is it good to buy a water alkalizer or bad? And I'll just touch briefly on that. If you're eating a really poor diet and you're getting sick a lot, or you have cancer, or you have some kind of illness, so that means your body's not alkaline enough, alkalizing your water is going to be great because normal water is at about 7. Filtered water is actually pretty acidic, like reverse osmosis probably is more at a 5. So by alkalizing your water through a special machine you buy, and they can cost up to $5,000. So it just depends on which one you get. That can help alkalize your water and help get you healthier. So I do recommend it to people like, if you have just parents that are never going to start eating healthy, or kids that are eating McDonald's and it's just hard to get them to eat an alkaline diet, then alkalizing your water is a great shortcut. It's a great step. I don't do it personally because I just feel like I drink the green juice, I eat alkaline foods, I want to mineralize my body in a natural way, and it feels a little forced to be drinking alkalized water. I would do it if I felt like my body was really acidic, if I was having organ failure, or if I was having, like I said, some kind of disease or something going on a lot at a time. I would definitely use an alkalizer. So that's just kind of some tips and some things to think about with your water. The best thing to do is just make sure it's not in plastic. I would say of everything you're doing, make sure you're just not doing plastic water. And people ask me a lot about the Brita filters. Those are kind of just like a Band-Aid. They don't really do much. They have a slight filter, but most people's Brita water, when I taste it, it tastes terrible to me. You want your water to taste sweet, and it should not have an aftertaste. So that's kind of how you can tell when you drink water, whether it's good or not. You just want to, don't just take it someone's word for it. If your water doesn't taste good, then you need to kind of keep looking for a better source of water. So do your research. There's a lot of stuff online. Distilled water can work great, especially on a detox, but you would only want to do distilled water temporarily because it does have no minerals in it. And if you are using distilled water and you want to restructure it, like I said, a pinch of salt, a piece of vegetable or fruit in there, and some lemon water, something like that, can help restructure the distilled water. But you don't want to just drink it straight unless, like I said, you're trying to just flush your body for like a week or something. That could be a way to do a detox. Okay, so that's kind of it on water. Do we have any questions, Caitlin, from anybody? Okay. I'm glad you guys are here. It's good to see you on this Friday. And like I said, I'm not, I'm just feeling a little tired today. And I think that's normal. Like sometimes I think, oh, I have to be up all the time. Like I have to be like, okay, I'm supercharged, I'm ready to go. And some days we're just not like that, depending on how much sleep we got, if our hormones are feeling in balance, how much exercise we've done or how much we haven't done. So if you're in doubt and you're just not feeling super energized, the best thing to do is just get as much water as you can. Just keep flushing your body with water. Okay, so what I'm going to do today with you guys is I'm going to show you guys, because some people were asking about food for Super Bowl. So I thought the best thing I could do is just teach you one recipe, which is barbecue sauce, because barbecue sauce goes good on everything. You can put barbecue sauce on kale and make it into kale chips, whether it's in the oven or in your dehydrator. You can put barbecue sauce on, you could bake your own sweet potato french fries. There's different kinds of sweet potatoes. There's some that are orange, which are actually here in the States, we call those yams. And then sometimes when you scrape them, they're white on the inside, and those are called sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes tend to be a little bit more nutritious than yams, so think yams are orange, sweet potatoes are white. But those make great french fries. You don't want to use regular potatoes because they're too starchy and too high in carbohydrates, but sweet potatoes are actually super high in minerals. You can chop them up into little french fry shapes, bake them in the oven for 10 or 15 minutes at 350, maybe with a little bit of onion powder and garlic powder on them, and kind of bake them and get them nice and crunchy. You could use a little bit of coconut oil in there too if you wanted, and you get kind of like that crunchy french fry texture. Kids love it. Everybody watching the Super Bowl is going to love that, and it's a healthy treat. You could also do that with cauliflower, where you chop it up into bits, coat it with the barbecue sauce, and roast it with the barbecue sauce on it, like in the oven, 350 to 450 for 15 to 20 minutes. And just keep an eye on it, flip it a few times. And that's almost like chicken wings. You got these little pieces of cauliflower. So those are some cute little good tricks you can do. And barbecue sauce is really easy to make. All you need is a blender, and any kind of blender will work. If you don't have a Vitamix, it's not the end of the world. And you want to take sun-dried tomatoes. Now, sometimes sun-dried tomatoes can be hard to find. You want to make sure you get them. They kind of should look dark like this, not bright red. Why do we not want bright red tomatoes? Does anybody know what's wrong with if you buy a dried fruit, and it's bright in color, like bright orange apricots or bright orange tomatoes? Does anybody know why we wouldn't want to do that? Anybody? Okay, I'll answer for you. Because they have sulfur, and it's not the good kind of sulfur. It's the sulfur dioxide, which is a preservative. It smells a little bit like burned rubber. You don't want that on your food. Let's see, sulfur. Yes, Claudia, you are right. Okay, so this is unsulfured tomatoes, so they're going to be a little darker. Hi, Jessica. And you're going to put that in your blender. These are kind of already pre-chopped. They just came this way. Sometimes they're whole. The pre-chopped ones are nice because they soak up really quickly. I soaked it in purified water. I used the reverse osmosis water for about, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, depending on how hard the tomatoes are. And that just makes it easier to chop. So it's 1.5 cups of sun-dried tomatoes covered in water, but not drowned in water. And what I mean by not drowned is you don't want to fill this thing all the way full. You just want to cover the tomatoes. Otherwise, it gets too much water and it's kind of soupy. The next thing we need is some onion powder. Now, you guys that know me probably know I love to use onion powder because it makes things sweet. It gives it that really yummy, almost caramely taste to things, like the caramelized onion taste. It's going to make it have a real nice cooked kind of barbecue flavor. That's a tablespoon of onion powder. We want some cayenne powder in there just to give it some kick. This actually calls for a whole 1/4 teaspoon. So this is going to be like a kickin' barbecue sauce. If you want it a little less spicy, then just add no or little or less spice. But cayenne, just a word on cayenne, the reason I love spices is it helps actually dilate your blood vessels. It keeps blood flow going easily in your body. So if you know someone with heart disease or having sluggish digestion or just sluggishness in the body, a little cayenne can really help pick things up. We want to use some kind of sweetener. Now you can use lakanto, which you guys have heard me talk about before. It's a low glycemic sweetener. It's made from low guo and erythritol combined. And the company, it says monk fruit sweetener, but the company is Lakanto. And we carry that on Pure Joy Planet. You can either use that or coconut sugar. And I'm going to use coconut sugar today because I think it gives it a little bit more of a barbecue-y taste. And that's 2 3 tablespoons of coconut sugar. And of course, if you have questions like, can I use less? You guys can do whatever you want. I'm just giving you my recipe. If you don't want to add sweetener, don't add it. If you want to add twice the amount of sweetener, do that. If you know your body, you know what works for you. Try different things, see what works for you. Let's see. The next thing is coconut aminos or tamari. I'm using the coconut aminos because I like to do my, you can't really see that, but I don't want to pour it out. I want to do soy-free because I'm not really into using soy. And so that's 2 tablespoons of aminos. Some coconut oil. You could use olive oil. You could use really any kind of oil. I like coconut oil because I just feel like it has the best nutrition value to it. And my body seems to digest it way easier than other oils. I'm actually cutting way back on my oils these days and trying to use little to none. So if I do use an oil, it would be coconut oil. Okay, so that's a tablespoon of that. And what's that going to do for it? Why am I putting oil in a barbecue sauce? It gets, if I don't put the oil in, because this is a raw sauce, I'm not cooking it down, it gets kind of clumpy and lumpy, and it doesn't have a beautiful flow to it. So that little bit of oil will kind of give it like a smooth flow. You could use Irish moss paste instead of oil as well. It's not going to taste as rich, but it's going to give it that silky smoothness that you're looking for. Okay, so the next thing is smoked salt. So about half a teaspoon. And I buy my smoked salt on a company called Mountain Rose Herbs. They're awesome. And I just love that smoky flavor. You could use regular salt and use like liquid smoke if you have that around, just like a 1/4 teaspoon liquid smoke with half a teaspoon regular salt. Or you could just use regular salt if you don't want to do the smoky thing. The smoky thing though is what's going to make it taste barbecuey. A clove of garlic. I got a big fat clove, which is so great. We love garlic in the wintertime. It's an immune booster. 1/8 teaspoon of white pepper. Now I usually, if you see my recipes, you'll see that I use white pepper instead of black because it's easier for the digestive tract. The hole on the black pepper is a little harsher on our digestive system, so we always like to use the white pepper. And that was 1/8 of a teaspoon. A teaspoon of smoked paprika, again with the smoky flavor. I just love the way this adds to things. You can add smoked paprika when you're roasting your butternut squash or any of your vegetables like your cauliflower. You can just sprinkle it with some smoked paprika and roast it that way. That's really yummy. We need something vinegary for barbecue sauce, so we need some apple cider vinegar. I use this brand here because it's a raw brand. It's unpasteurized, the Bragg's apple cider vinegar. And there's about a teaspoon in there. Ginger is kind of optional. Like, I don't know if ginger is good or bad in a barbecue sauce. It's in my recipe, so I'm just going to use a little section of it. I kind of like that gingery aftertaste, especially in the winter time, because I feel like it's warming. So there's like 4 slices there of ginger. I'll put that in. And then I'm just going to blend it all up. And it's pretty easy, you know. So, other things it can go on is you can marinate food in it. And yeah, Jennifer says cauliflower wings. So you could coat the cauliflower in it and then bake it. And that kind of is like, instead of chicken wings, you can do cauliflower wings roasted. And Jessica was wondering if it's the type of sulfur that people are allergic to. I think people are usually allergic to sulfur dioxide. I know for me, that's the kind that's on the fruit. It makes my hands really puffy, and it makes me get like this smell in my nose of burned rubber. Like I start outgassing it right away. I just react really strongly to it. My feet start to puff up. So I think that's what you mean. And yeah, people can have allergic reactions to sulfur. The sulfur that's on dried fruit. Okay, so I'm going to blend this up, and then we have barbecue sauce. Oh, and I want to put a little onion in as well. So I've got a nice brown onion. I used to use a lot of red onion, but brown onion works pretty well when you're blending stuff. Red onion's good for salads and things like that, like a kale salad. But about 2 tablespoons. Onion is super healing this time of year for all you guys who are in our hemisphere, the winter. You're in winter right now. Onion is an awesome healing food in the winter time. It's really warming. So you can cook this up. You can saute onion and use that as a base. Put that over your salad. If you're eating a raw salad, you want to warm it up. Just cook up some onion and put that over the top. This is about 2 tablespoons of onion. And then I'm gonna blend it. Are we ready to blend? Here we go. For me, I've got crystal water right here. So, you know, I want to start doing more things with crystals in the food, like crystal energy in my food. So I'm going to start just charging all my water with crystals that I use in my recipes. Because I just like the idea of this different energy going into your food. Because we're so isolated from nature a lot of times. The more you can get your crystallized water into your food, you're going to kind of regenerate your food, remineralize your food. Okay, so let's start to get on low. So it looks, oh my gosh, it smells so good. It smells just like barbecue sauce. I'm excited to try it. I bet you're wondering what I'm going to eat it on. I'll probably do some sweet potato fries maybe and use that as a dip. But I also have a lot of kale because our garden is producing kale, so we'll probably make some kale chips out of it too. You just want to take that then and put it in your jar. This is nice and thick. I like how thick it is because if it's really soupy and thin, then it doesn't stick as well to like things you're roasting. So you kind of want it a little on the thicker side. I can always add more water to it for like if I'm using it like a ketchup to dip French fries or dip sweet potato fries in. But that recipe made quite a bit. I've got this whole jar full and a little bit still more in here. So that's how you make barbecue sauce. That was pretty fun, huh? So I just kind of want to let you guys know also what's going on with us here at Pure Joy Academy. We've got all kinds of classes coming up. We've got one in New York. So for those of you guys who've been waiting for us to do a live class again, we've got our level 1 chef certification happening in New York City at Caravana Dreams Cafe. And it's going to be a weekend course. So if you've been wanting to take one of our courses but you can't take the whole week off, it's like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I think Monday. So it's like 4 days instead of all during the week. So Monique, who's an awesome teacher, she's been teaching with us at the Academy for a while now, and Caitlin are going to be teaching this course. It should be super fun. We're going to do it in April, so the weather will be getting warmer. And if you guys have been wanting to go to New York City and you needed an excuse, come and take our class with us. It's just going to be amazing. I'm going to be Skyping in daily with lectures and classes and lessons on just all the different things I talk about, like superfoods and you know, just alkalizing your body, mineralizing, all the different things I like to talk about with you guys, just detoxing. So that's going to be March 31st through April 3rd. So if you're interested in that, we're going to give you guys, whoever's watching this video over the weekend, today through Monday morning, we're going to give you guys $100 off if you use the code. So you go to purejoyplanet.com, click on courses, and then you're going to see the New York City course on there. Click on that. And then when you go to register, use the code February, you just spell it out, February with a capital F, 3. Just February 3, no spaces, all together, February 3. So that'll give you $100 towards your course if you guys are interested. And of course, you can respond to this if you have more questions. If you want to talk to Caitlin, we'll get back to you. And then just make sure you check out all of our other, like if you like what I'm doing here, I'm going to keep coming back. If you've got more questions, put them down. But check out our other courses. Go to purejoyplanet.com. I've got tons of free recipes on there, a blog where I'm talking about, like this week was about how to be superhuman. So all the different things I like to do, like 10 different things I do on a regular basis to stay healthy and not get sick. Because people think, oh, you have a strong immune system, that's why you never get sick. I actually don't. I didn't grow up with one. I actually learned what to do on a regular basis to keep my body healthy. So go to purejoyplanet.com and you can read that blog. You can get lots of fun free recipes. Some of the more gourmet stuff, like that cake I posted last week, the black velvet cake, Those are courses or ebooks, so you can also support us, which I really appreciate. So I love to keep coming to you guys live and doing stuff for free, which I feel like I love to give back. And I also need support in keeping this going. As you guys know, you can't just live off air. So, I mean, maybe some people do, but I need a little support. So what you can do is buy a nut milk bag on Pure Joy Planet, take one of our online courses. We have cheap ones, one for $49 for the liver flush. And this is a good time of year to start thinking about flushing your liver as it gets into spring. So plan one, take my online liver flush course, get the detox kit from us. Yeah, just look up all the different things. I have books, I have ebooks, I have courses. So I'd love to keep hearing from you guys. I love seeing all your little hearts popping up there. Thank you for being here. And if you came in late, just go back and watch this video after we post it. And I'll see you guys next Friday. Just let me know what you're interested in hearing about. And I'll try and incorporate some recipes every week and talk about different things just to keep us healthy and mineralized. And you know, this life isn't about being dogmatic. It's not about being 100% anything, because I really don't believe in that. I don't believe about, you know, oh, you're not 100% vegan, then you don't belong in the club and we don't like you. Like, I don't ascribe to that at all. Wherever you're at is where you're at. Whatever you're doing is perfect. Keep adding more healthy foods in, add more greens in, add more great water to your diet, make things like barbecue sauce, and whether you're cooking it or eating it raw, just whole foods is the key. And I love you no matter what you do, and just know that you can show up however you are, however raggedy you are, however tired you are, however energized you are, and you are welcome. You know, you have a place. We're all in this together, and if anybody's telling you that they're on all the time and they never feel tired, I don't really know that I believe that. Like, we all have our up moments and our down moments, and everything's acceptable. And so I just want to keep coming to you guys and being as authentic and real as I can with you. And, you know, like on days today where I'm not as energized, when I get off this, I'm gonna go lay on my biomat for a while and just take maybe a little rest. So give yourself that time to rest and relax, and don't feel like you always have to keep going. So with that, I want to bid you adieu. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day and a great weekend, and I will see you next Friday. Bye.